Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Thank you all for joining this a series of summaries for each and every chapter in Bhagavad Gita. This is a very good platform to learn, to refresh ourselves from different chapters. It's just a summary. So we have evening Bhagavad Gita sessions where we go verse by verse. But in this session, we have already covered about 16 chapters in 8 days. That's like a fast track or short-term training kind of thing, where we get refreshed with whatever we have learned. So today, I am fortunate enough, I got this opportunity to present to you all about the summary of 17th chapter. Okay, the title of the chapter is The Divisions of Faith. Okay, so divisions of faith. Okay, we will recite the verse. Arjuna uvacha ye shastravidam mustrijya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtatuka Krishna sattvam aho rajastamaha. Arjuna uvacha ye shastravidhim mustrijya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtatuka Krishna sattvam aho rajastamaha. Any volunteer to recite this verse? Please feel free to unmute yourself and recite the verse, please. I think everyone got muted, so that's okay. So we'll skip that part and let me recite again, and we'll go from here. Okay.
I unmuted. They can do it now.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone is interested, please feel free to recite the verse. Hare Krishna. Gokul Prema.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Ye shastra vidim srucham yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtatu ka krishnam sattva rajastama.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, thanks for the participation. Now, translation. Arjuna inquired, "O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture, but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance?" Okay, so this is a beautiful question Arjuna has asked. If you remember correctly, in the 16th chapter, the divine and the demonic natures, right? Krishna ends that chapter with last 2 verses. Okay, he says that the scriptures have to be followed, and he explains the condition of the people who doesn't follow the scriptures. Got it? So the last but one verse from 16th chapter, there are 24 verses in 16th chapter. The 23rd verse of that 16th chapter is Ye shastra vidimusrijya vartate kama karataha nashasiddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Na param gatim. So Krishna is saying that he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attain neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Right? So Arjuna remembers that verse and he uses the same first line. He uses that Ye shastram vidhim mustrijya, the people, the person who discards the scriptural injunctions, right? Ejante, but Arjuna continues saying that Ejante shraddhayanvitaha, but he worships according to his own imagination. Shraddha, according to his anvitaha is his own, Shraddha is faith. So Arjuna is saying that his own faith or his own understanding or his own imagination without following the scriptures, right? Tesham nishtatu ka Krishna, that faith, which category that it falls into? Krishna. Which category that falls Krishna? Is it sattvam? Is it in mode of goodness? Is it in rajaha? Is it in mode of passion? Or tamaha? Is it in mode of ignorance? So this question, my dear friends, my dear devotees, Arjuna's question makes a platform for the Lord to explain about this chapter. This chapter is 28 verses, right? This 28 verses talks about the most first 7 verses. They talk about the faith. What is faith? How the faith will fall into these modes. And then he talks about different things. So we'll see that, okay? So if you see, yes, faith. So this is the divisions of faith. So what is faith? According to the dictionary, the faith is a complete trust or a complete obedience or complete belief on something or someone. They don't define who is that, but the definition is a complete faith on something or complete belief on someone or something. That is called as faith, okay? And this faith, my dear friends, everyone contributes in some way or the other way. It is an innate behavior we have. Someone may say that I am not a devotee of Krishna. Someone can proclaim them to be atheists, but they still have some faith on something. You know what I mean? Everyone has to have this innate faith. Let's see. This is Krishnamanda Prabhu, please unmute everyone. So I want to hear from all of you, right? Let's say after COVID, 4 years or 2 years of lockdown, we never went out of the country, but suddenly we got an opportunity to see our parents, to see our family members, to see our relatives in India, and we are planning to go to India. Okay. Now, when we are planning to go to India, we have booked the flight, and that is the day of the flight or a couple of days before we take the flight. What are the things we check for? Can someone answer? What do you check when you travel, before you travel on the flight? So, what do you check?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Jai Prakash Prabhu.
Yeah, you check that what are the rules and regulations in the airline in order to travel it.
Very nice, because COVID, there are so many rules that may have applied. So we check for the rules and regulations. Can we sit? Do we have to have a mask? Do we have to have some kind of special arrangement? Like, do we have to have some arrangement for the food, some arrangement for the blankets, because they stopped giving blankets also. So that is one thing. Yes, Amritananda Prabhu, you were about to say something. What do you check for?
Yeah, Prabhu, same thing. Rules and regulations regarding COVID restriction.
Yes. So we check for rules and regulations. We check for our passports, our papers. Are they current? Do we have authority to go out? Do we have the visas to travel? These things we check, right? But my question is like, do you check if the pilot is qualified to drive this plane? Do we check that? No, we don't, right? Do we check if the tire pressure is inflated to bear the weight of this flight? This flight will carry about 300 people and their bags and luggages. Think about that. This flight can go far distance. And do we check for the the pressure on the tires? No. Do we check for the fuel? No, because we have faith. We have faith that that airline company which is running this plane has made all those arrangements, and it has taken care of these nitty-gritty things which we have faith on them. That's why we don't check for it. We don't go to the pilot, knock the door of the cockpit and ask the pilot, can you show your license? Are you qualified to drive this, pilot? No, we don't ask that, right? So we check the things which we have our control under, and the other things, most of the things we leave out. It applies to everything, every day-to-day routine things, this applies. So that is faith, my dear devotees. Faith means we have something innate, it's there. If we don't have that faith, then our lives are miserable. We can't live properly, right? Let's say if you don't have faith that the train which I'm taking in the morning to New York City is gonna stop or is gonna break or is gonna get into accident, then you can't live, you can't go, you can't travel. So that is where we stand in this world. So that the faith is important. So in the similar way, I want to share a story. Okay, so let me share a story of a Brahmana and a cobbler. You may all know this story, but I still make a short description of the story. When Narada Muni was traveling on this earth planet, a Brahmana who is performing his activities on a daily basis, he meets the Narada Muni, and he asks Narada Muni, where are you going? So Narada Muni mentioned, I'm going to see the Lord in Vaikuntha. Then Brahmana said, okay, you're going to Vaikuntha, so can you ask the Lord, when will I go back to him? When will I get a chance? Or like how long, how much time do I have? I know I go back in this lifetime, but how much time will it take to go back to him? Narada Muni said, okay, I'll ask him. Then he goes forward and he sees a cobbler. A cobbler is a low profession. The cobbler is a person who is a shoemaker. It's a very low profession. Even though he has a low profession, he was very dedicated and he was devotional to the Lord. So he saw the Narada Muni, he paid obeisances, he made him sit on the stone, and he requested Narada Muni, saying that, please tell me about where your journey, how come you're here? Then Narada Muni said that I'm on the way to go to Vaikuntha, so I was passing through this passage. Then a cobbler asked the question, can you please request Lord to show mercy on me and tell him like when, and ask him when I can get his mercy so that I can go back to the kingdom of the Lord. So Narada Muni said, okay, I'll ask the question. So the two people, one is one is a cobbler who is a low caste shoemaker, and the other one is a Brahmana. His only duty is to worship the Lord. So two people, two different professions, but they ask the same question: when will they go back to the Krishna? Narada Muni went to Vaikuntha, and he paid obeisances to Narayana, Lord Narayana there, and the Lord. They had a very good conversation. And before leaving, Narada Muni asked, "But my Lord, I have question." Yes, Lord said, "Yes, I know." So you were talking about those two questions, right? Asked by the Brahman and the cobbler. Yes, my Lord, that is what is a question, because I have to answer them. Then tell that cobbler that he will reach this world within this lifetime. Right after, in this lifetime, he will come back to me. Then, my Lord, what about Brahmana? Brahmana will take thousands and thousands of lifetimes to come back to me. Right? Narada Muni got surprised. How come? Brahmana's profession is to worship the Lord. He worships the Lord on a daily basis. Then he asked the same question to the Lord. Lord, how come? How is it possible? Then the Lord said that when they ask the same question, you do one thing. You say that when they ask what was Lord doing, just tell them that Lord was trying to pass a big elephant through the eye of a needle. Eye of a needle is very small little hole where you pass the thread to hold the thread, a tiny thread, right? But Lord asks Narada Muni to tell these two persons that whenever you see them, tell them that the Lord was trying to pass, or is putting the elephant through the hole of a needle, eye of a needle. Narada Muni said, okay, and he went down. Then he comes back. The first person he sees is Brahmana. Brahmana says that, oh, Narada Muni, you said that you were going to Vaikuntha. Did you come back? He said, yes, I came back. Oh, did you ask about my return? Like, I'm sure he must have said that this will be this lifetime, but I want to hear from him. Like, what do you think? Then Narada Muni says that, actually, you will take thousands of lifetimes. It's not possible for you to go back in this lifetime. Brahmana was surprised, perplexed. What is he doing? He says that, Narada Muni, are you sure you are real Narada or you are an imposter? That's the first question he asks Narada Muni. And he says that you may not have gone to Vishnu. You're just joking. And Narada Muni said that, okay. Then he got answer. Narada Muni got an answer, okay. But still, he for testing, Brahmana asked Narada Muni, can you tell what was Lord doing? If you have really gone to see Lord, what was Lord doing when you were there? Then he said, Lord was trying to trying to put elephant through the hole of an eye of a needle. Then Brahmana was laughing loud and sarcastically. He blasphemed Narada Muni, and that gave an answer for Narada Muni that, that's why he takes thousands of lifetimes to go back. Then the same Narada Muni goes to the cobbler. Cobbler again was very happy to receive the Narada Muni, and Narada Muni says that Narada Muni he inquires from the Narada Muni. Cobbler inquires from the Narada Muni that what was Lord doing, how was his activities, what were his pastimes in his kingdom. Then Narada Muni said that Lord was trying to put the elephant through the eye of a needle. Then this cobbler had tears in his eyes. He was crying, and he had all the symptoms, the ecstatic symptoms of bhakti. His tears are rolling down. And Narada Muni asked, by seeing this, his ecstatic symptoms, Narada Muni asked cobbler, how come? Can you believe this, that Lord is putting that big, huge elephant through the eye of a needle? Then cobbler explained, look, Narada Muni, why can't he do it? This tree I'm sitting down, the tree where we are sitting here, it is a banyan tree. If you see the fruits of the banyan tree, they are very tiny. In that fruits, there are thousands of seeds in each fruit. And that's the tiny seeds can have a capability, can give rise to another big banyan tree like this. The banyan trees are huge. So if the Lord can put a big, huge banyan tree in this small, tiny, very ineligible size of a substance, why can't he pass a big, huge elephant through the eye of a needle? That's where Narada Muni got an answer. He has said that, yes, you're right. That's why Lord said that you're going to go back in this particular lifetime. That is the difference between the Brahmana and the cobbler. What is the difference? Devotees, the difference is the faith. The faith that God can do, the faith that Lord can do this. That is a faith. That is called a transcendental level. So Krishna talked about two levels in the 16th chapter. One is two natures, divine nature and a demoniac nature. This is a divine nature where the cobbler is completely exhibiting here, right? Then the demonic nature is the nature which you don't have faith on the Lord. Okay, so now another story. We have many stories like that, but just a short one. The only qualification this 5-year-old child Prahlad had was his faith on the Lord. The Hiranyakashipu is a powerful demon. As we always say that when Bhagavatam says this verse, when he raises his left eyebrow, the whole demigod shiver. Demigods are the controllers of this material universe, right? All these 14 lokas they control. These demigods used to shiver by seeing the anger of Hiranyakashipu. But this 5-year-old boy, what he had to go against his powerful father? The only qualification this Prahlad had was faith. Faith that my Lord will come. Faith that my Lord exists. Faith that my Lord loves me. That is a faith Prahlad Maharaj had. Right? You remember, Krishna lives in each and every atom. That means Krishna is everywhere. When Hiranyakashipu asked, can we find your Lord in this pillar? Prahlad Maharaj's answer was very simple. He said that Krishna lives in each and every atom. If you say that if you're asking a question that my Lord lives in this pillar, yes, he lives because he's in each and every atom. But to make his devotees' words truthful, what Nrsimhadev did, Lord came out, he stayed there. He could have proved that I'm in the atom, but he didn't stay there because of the faith. Because Lord was afraid that my devotees' faith will be shattered. That's why he appeared as Nrsimhadev to kill Hiranyakashipu. So, my dear devotees, this is a faith we're talking about. This is a faith of the divinity. Now, the question of Arjuna in this first verse was that, what is the condition of the people? Like, yes, the people have divine qualities and they have faith, complete faith on the Lord. And there are demons, which we saw in section 23. If they don't have faith, or if they don't follow the scriptural injunctions, what they do is they'll fall down. They have no perfection. There is no place for them in this world. Now, Arjuna's question was, it is not black and white, Arjuna, but Krishna. But my question is, if there is some divine people, there is another set of people which are demoniac. What is the people in between, right? What kind of gunas or the modes they fall into? So that is a question, and this chapter is about that. Okay, so let's check this chapter. Okay. So, divisions of faith. The first section of this chapter is from 1 to, there are 28 verses. 1 to 7th verse is the modes determines one's faith. The modes, 3 modes determines one's faith. We'll talk about it. And the second section is foods in the modes. A beautiful chapter, my dear devotees. Very neatly categorized, very neatly segregated what is what. Okay, so let's see them. And the third section is sacrifices in the modes. Fourth section is austerities in the modes. In this fourth section, again, it's two parts. Okay, austerities in the modes. The first part Krishna, before he says the austerities in the modes, he tells about what are the types of austerities. He tells 3 types of austerities. Please remember this. This is very, very neatly segregated chapter. And then 5th section is charity in the modes. Okay, and the final section is the conclusion. Om Tat Sat. Okay, so without delay, let's go with section 1, which is the modes determine one's faith. Okay, 17.1 which spoke. The other verses I am skipping because I have only 45 minutes to cover the summary. So, but at least I gave you the glimpse of what it is. Okay, 17.4. Yajante satvika devan yaksha rakshamshi rajasa prethan bhuta ganams chanye yajante tamas janaha. Krishna is saying that faith in modes, right? So there are 3 types of people. A people in the mode of goodness, they'll pray to demigods. So if you see here, men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. So the men in the mode of goodness, they worship the demigods, and there are 33 crore demigods according to the scriptures, and they can pray to any one of them. But Srila Prabhupada also mentioned multiple times that there are Panchopashana devatas. Panchopashana devatas are in the Shastric way or in the Vedic way. They pray to Vishnu, they pray to Shiva, they pray to Ganesha, they pray to Surya, and they pray to Durga. This Pancha Upasana, there are 5 types of demigods they pray to. They can pray to anyone. So these people in the mode of goodness, they pray for their material benefits or any benefits for to these demigods. Okay, that is the people in mode of goodness. The people in the mode of passion, they worship the demons, or the real words are Yaksha Rakshashams. So Yaksha is a Yakshas and the Rakshasas. Basically, Rakshasas, Srila Prabhupada quotes them as demons in this material world or in contemporary world. Srila Prabhupada quotes an example of a person in Kolkata during the World War II. He was praying to Hitler because Hitler caused the World War II. And because of this World War II, this person got collected a lot of money. This is in the purport of 17.4. So he collected lots of money by doing some black market thing and something. So he was praying and he was worshiping the Hitler as a god. So that is the condition. We think that we can pray to anyone and anything in this world. That is not true. But in the mode of passion, you pray to these people or the kings like that, right? In the mode of ignorance, people pray to Bhuta and Pretas. Okay, mode of ignorance, worship ghosts and spirits. So what is the difference between Bhuta and Preta? Okay, so I'll take 1 minute to explain this. So when a soul leaves the body abruptly without completing his prescribed lifetime, right now by suicide or by some activities from unauthorized activities, if they got murdered or if they got suicided, then the soul was supposed to live in this material world for a prescribed time, but the time is not fructified for that soul to go back. Got it? So that soul, because it doesn't have a body, he keeps roaming around this material world only. He cannot live because it doesn't, his time is not fructified. So that type of a soul, what that soul does is to acquire a body. See, the desires of eating, drinking, thirsty, everything is there. Hunger is there. And the desires are still there in that soul. But because he doesn't have a body, he cannot fulfill anything. So he tries to acquire another body. He tries to take some other body, some animal body sometimes, some human bodies sometimes. They try to gets into something to fulfill their desires. Those are called as bhutas, or the ghosts. What is preta? When a regular living entity, when he dies, that living entity has 13 days of time frame in general. Okay, 13 days of time frame. In the 13 days, this soul will get a preta body, a different specific body, which will still have the thirst, hunger, and everything. And this body is there for 13 days. After 13 days, his destiny will be decided, whether he's going to Pitraloka, whether he's going to higher planets or lower planets. So that 13-day period, a temporary body was provided to that living soul. That is called as preta. Okay, that's why there are like pindadan. We perform pindadan during these 13 days to ensure that the preta body is being nourished. Because if the pindadan is not performed, that preta or that soul cannot go back to Pitraloka. Pitraloka is a loka which is in heavenly planets, but it's not as opulent as Indraloka or Indra's kingdom, Amaravati. It's not like a capital of capital city Amaravati, but it's some remote places in the heavenly planets. It's the Pitraloka. So that's the difference between those two. Okay, so Krishna is saying that the people who are in the mode of ignorance, they pray to these bhutas and pretas, pretaganas, okay, bhutaganas and pretas. So I was researching about these bhutas and pretas, and I found there is really a festival called as a festival of feeding ghosts or something like that. It's a big thing in Singapore or those areas. I was surprised to see. I was thinking these things happen only in India, but it's not true. It's the whole world. A lot of Christianity, they also have this kind of concepts of praying to the, not Christianity, but the people from like in a Western world, they also pray to the pretas and bhutas. So that's one point I wanted to mention here. So devotees, so the first section is food. Sorry, what happened? All right, 1 second. Okay, sorry. So the first section is we thought about faith, the faith of the people in the mode of goodness, faith of people in the mode of passion, faith of people in the mode of ignorance. Okay, so next go to the next one. The second section, we talk about the food in the mode of, and food in the modes, foods in the modes. Okay, so 17.8 Ayush Shattva Balarogya Sukha Priti Vivardanaha Rashya Snigdha Stira Hridya Ahara Shatvika Priyaha. Foods dear to those in the modes of goodness increase the duration of life, purity, one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. The foods prepared within the 3 hours are considered to be in mode of goodness. The food what we have to eat should be a live food. What do you mean by live food? Live food is a food. If you take a grain, let's say if you take a millet, and if you put it in the under the ground, that millet can grow into a plant. That is the food with life. It's a grain with life. So that foods will give us the strength and the purity and everything. You cannot eat a pizza. I mean, I eat. I'm not saying I don't eat, but what we're saying is like we have to go to the aim. If you want to eat food in mode of goodness, we should avoid, or we should reduce taking the food which doesn't have life, which doesn't have the urja, or the power, the strength. So Krishna is saying that food which gives strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction, that food we have to take. That food will be taken by the people in the mode of goodness. And the mode of ignorance, the people take like katva, amala, lavanya. So basically those are the foods which are sour, salty, hot, pungent, and dry burning, like mirchi. A lot of people eat too much of chili, so too much of hot food. So those foods are in mode of passion. And what will happen when you take the food in mode of passion? They causes distress, misery, and disease. Okay, so that's one thing. And the last category is the food in the mode of ignorance. Foods prepared more than 3 hours before, being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid. So clearly explained definition. So these are considered to be the foods in modes of darkness. So I am trying to go fast because I see the time is running. Okay, so the next section is sacrifices in the modes. Okay, the modes, there are 3 modes again. These are all 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. It is very nicely segregated chapter, as I said. So in the of sacrifices, the sacrifices performed according to the directions of scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness. So a sacrifice performed without a desire is in the without a material desire is in the nature of goodness. But the sacrifice that is performed for the sake of pride, some people, they want to show, hey, I am the one, I am the doer, and that kind of sacrifice is in the mode of ignorance, and sometimes they do it for also a material benefit, so that is in the mode of ignorance. But the sacrifice that is performed, okay, the sacrifice that is performed, the Krishna gives 5 qualities of the sacrifice that is performed in the mode of ignorance. What are they? Vidhihinam, asrishtannam, mantrahinam, adakshinam, Shraddha viharitam yagnam tamasam parichakshate. Tamasam parichakshate. The sacrifice which is performed without a regard for the directions of scriptures. There is no regard. There is no consideration of scriptural injunctions there when you perform that sacrifice. First category. Second category, a sacrifice performed, but there is no prasadam distributed. That is also in the mode of ignorance. You have to give prasadam after the sacrifice. Okay. And sacrifice performed without a hymns, chanting of the hymns, Vedic hymns. Okay. Tachanyora vrinimahe gatui yagnaya gatui yagyapataye. You remember those verses we chant while we perform the script, like on Saturday yagnas we perform. Semester Prabhu nicely chants those swasti vachanams and all those things. So that hymns has to be performed, has to be chanted, has to be recited for that yagna to be successful. But if you don't do that, that will fall in the mode of ignorance. And the fourth category is remuneration to the priest. A priest performing yagna has to be remunerated. Important, very important. If that remuneration has not been given to that priest, that means all the piety which was acquired for performing that yagna will go to the priest who is performing that yagna. So my dear devotees, please remember, if you don't give anything, priest doesn't ask in general, but if gives $, so that you don't lose the piety which you are getting by performing that yagna. If you don't do that, all the piety will be taken by that brahmana who has performed that, or the devotee who has performed that yagna. So that is the fourth category. And fifth category, Prabhupada adds is without faith. You have to have a faith. You have to have that faith that Narsinghadev, when you perform an yagna for Narsinghadev is right there sitting in the form of a yagna form, right, in the yagna kund. And you have to perform that yagna, believing that Krishna and Vaishnava, when you do the Narsinghadev is there, Chakra is there, Sudarshana Homa, when you perform Sudarshana Chakra is there. So that faith has to be there, that devotion has to be there. So that if you don't have that faith, that is also falls into the mode of ignorance. Okay, now let's go to the next section, which is austerities. So I told you, Krishna divided this into 2 parts. Before explaining the austerities in the modes, he explains what are the 3 types of austerities. So there are 3 types of austerities Krishna quotes in this chapter. This is austerity of body, austerity of speech, austerity of mind. Right? Austerity of body. What is austerity of body? Paying obeisances to the brahmanas, paying obeisances to the gurus, paying obeisances to the deities. My dear devotees, everyone is getting old. I feel like when you bend down to pay obeisances, you are putting effort on your knees. Your knees pain, your body aches, but still you perform the activity of paying obeisances, meaning that you are performing an austerity of the body. So that is the austerity. Worship, see, the categories are right here. Worship the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master. So when you perform the obeisances, when you see the Lord, worship the Lord, that is an austerity of the body. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence. These are the austerities of the body. Austerities of speech, speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, non-agitating to others, regularly reciting Vedic literature. These are the austerities of speech. There was a story. It's an interesting story. I know I'm running out of time, but I still say it. Okay. there was a very noble king in the scriptures. The story is there in the scriptures. There was a very noble king. He is performing an act of distributing food to the Brahmanas. He invited all the Brahmanas on a daily basis. He performs this activity of providing the prasadam to the Brahmanas on a daily basis. And after that only he eats. So he invites Brahmanas comes, they stay in a line, in a queue, and king distributes prasadam, and then he goes for eating. So now, there was one day when he was performing this activity of distributing prasadam to the Brahmanas, an eagle caught the snake. An eagle caught the snake, and he was flying. The eagle is flying on the top by holding the snake in his claws, right? And the snake, with the fear, it just puked the poison out of his mouth. The snake. That poison went and fell into the food of the distribution, the food that was distributing by the Lord. That poisoned food was distributed to the Brahmanas, and Brahmanas are some Brahmanas died due to that act. Now the question comes: Chitragupta, the bookkeeper of Yamaraj, he's saying this activity, and he is trying to analyze who is a sinner here. Is it the king who has a noble intention that to provide Brahmanas with prasadam? Is he the sinner, or is the Brahmanas who had taken the prasadam sinners, or is the eagle, because he is catching the snake and running away, is he the sinner, or is the snake who puked the poison is a sinner? So this question is disturbing Chitragupta a lot. Now, my dear friends, open up yourself, unmute yourself, and tell me, what do you think? Who is a sinner here? I really need to hear from you. Who can be the sinner? Is it the Brahmana? Is it the king? Is it the snake? Is it the eagle? Who out of these four are the sinners? Can someone take a guess?
I can tell one thing. Harikishore Babu.
Yeah.
Dandavat Prana Babu, very good class. And a lot of questions, two, three questions I have, but later I'll ask that. Yeah. But today I think that this sinner, I think that apparently no one is sinner, but king should be very careful when he giving the prasadam to Brahmanas. They should give properly, respect them, and properly arrange everything, and they should arrange inside the palace, not the outside.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So thank you, Ashish Kona Jagannath Prabhu, for input. So Prabhu says that no one is a sinner, but king would have taken some kind of arrangement because he was distributing, so he should have a responsibility of taking the arrangement. That's okay. So, but Chitragupta didn't think that way, because he was thinking that he was not a sinner. He has a noble act, and he said, "Okay, let me put this on hold, because I don't know. I'm not finding anyone as a sinner." Then suddenly one day, visitors were visiting that kingdom, and they were asking a person, "Who can you tell us how to go to that king of your kingdom?" Then that visitor said, "Oh, you're talking about the sinner, that person who has killed the Brahmana, a Brahman Hatya Raja, the one who has killed the Brahmanas. Is it are you asking about that king?" Do you know how he quoted? He has addressed the king as the Brahmana Hatya. So the one who killed the Brahmanas. Then Chitragupta opened his record and said that, okay, the person who is speaking wrong about the king, he didn't do it on purpose. The king did it, but he didn't do it on purpose. He didn't know that there was a poison, first of all. So the sinner, Krishna or Chitragupta, took that person who spoke the bad words about the king. He took him as a sinner, and he gave all the punishment that was Brahma Hatya punishment to that person who spoke. So my dear devotees, that's why austerity of speech is very important. What you speak, vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jihva vegam udaro pasta vegam. So vacho vegam, the first vegam, the tendency to speak, the itching to speak should be controlled. Okay, that's the austerity of speech. And austerity of mind is being simple living, satisfied, no greediness, right? We keep satisfaction is such a tusht rehna, the being qualified or contented with whatever you have. That is the austerity of mind, okay, and all these other things. So now let's go to the next section. Okay, 5 minutes. Austerity in those are the three types of austerities Krishna has mentioned. Those, what are the austerity of speech, austerity of body, austerity of mind? And he says, he categorizes these austerities into modes. The first mode is mode of goodness. A person performed with the transcendental austerity performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits, but engaged only for the sake of supreme. They don't expect, they're detached from that act, and they're performing only for the sake of the supreme. It's the austerity. That austerity is mode of goodness. And mode of passion is an action which, or the austerity which was performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship. And penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is in the mode of ignorance. So this is an interesting story in Ramayana, Uttarakanda. Valmiki writes this in the Uttarakanda Ramayana, that there was a Brahmana who came with his dead son. In Rama, in a Treta Yuga, no one will die without a cause. Everyone has their time to die, right? Like a person has to live certain years, they has to live certain years. But his son was died untimely. His son was very young, and he brought his dead son to Rama, and he said that you are a king of this kingdom, and my son has died untimely. Now give me the reason. If anything happens in this kingdom, kings takes the onus. At the time, Lord Ramachandra used to take the onus. So Lord Ramachandra was perplexed. How can this happen? In my kingdom, if I'm ruling properly, if I'm the proper king, how can this thing happen? Now, Narada Muni appears and says that, look, Lord Ram, there is some Shudra, a person who is not qualified to perform an austerity, is performing austerity in your kingdom. Just go check him. So then Lord Ram came and he saw a Shudra. Can you see this Shudra? He's performing a vigorous austerity. He was tied himself upside down, and he's completely performing an austerity which was not or recommended for him. No scriptural injunctions, nothing. He was just doing to pacify the demigods. Then Lord Ramachandra found him and asked him, why are you doing this? You're not supposed to do it. Then that person who is a Shudra, who is not qualified to perform this activity, he was mentioning that I want to have the celestial kingdom. I want to go to the celestial kingdom with this body, and I want to marry the Lord Shiva's wife, Parvati Devi. So that was his goal. His goal of performing austerity itself is meaningless. It's very low quality. Lord Rama cut his head right there. It's in Uttarakanda. When the Lord Rama cut his head, the person or the boy who was dead, he came alive. Okay, so devotees, what the story explains it, that austerity should be performed in the mode of goodness. Mode of ignorance, austerity performed in the mode of ignorance are not that good, and which will not be helpful for the betterment of anyone. Okay, so charity. There are three types of charity. Okay, so again the same things: charity without the attachment. Okay, and the charity without with expectation of some return is in mode of ignorance. Mode of passion, and the charity which is given at an impure place. Adesha kale apratyabhyas asatkritam avagnatam. 4 things. Tamasam, 5 things Krishna explains again. Impure place, improper time, unworthy persons, without proper attention and respect is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Okay, so that is charity. So there are some things which I'm going to skip. The next one, when a charity is performed for non-Brahmana, the same amount of wealth will come back to you. When a charity is performed to the half-qualified Brahmana, like little qualified Brahmana, you double the amount. If a charity is performed for the qualified Brahmana, you get 1,000 times in return. Okay, but if a charity is performed to the Veda Paraga is a devotee who has completely understood the Vedas. The one who understands the Vedas completely is called as a Veda Paraga. Means what is the summum bonum of the learning of Vedas? The summum bonum of learning of the Vedas is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is none other than a devotee. A devotee who performs, if you perform or if you give charity to the devotee, it gives returns in unlimited times. So that is what Srila Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports. Okay, now This is the last section, and I want to take 2 more minutes here, and we'll close it. Okay. So Krishna says that I have explained you what does he explain? He explained the faith. He explained the austerities, charity, and austerities, yajna, dhana, and tapa. Austerities, charity, and sacrifices. Now he says that if a person, knowingly or unknowingly, if he just chants Om Tat Sat, these 3 words, very, very important. Om is nothing but Krishna himself. So if you see here, Krishna says that Rasoham Apsukaunteya Prabhamshi Shashishuryayo Pranava Sarva Vedeshu Shabdah Ke Paurusham Rishuhu. The syllable Om in the Vedic mantras is me. I represent the Om. So Om is represents the absolute truth. Tat represents getting free from the material entanglement. Sat represents the eternal absolute truth. Is objective of all sacrifices. So if a person, when he is performing dana, yajna, and tapa, these 3 activities, when we chants this Om Tat Sat, then all his knowingly or unknowingly, but just by chanting, even though if he records God, if he doesn't record God, if he has faith or doesn't have faith, by chanting these words, he may get benefits of that activity. Okay, that is what Krishna is concluding this verse with. And again, Krishna says, Gram Ashmi Ekam Aksharam. So he says that I'm out of vibrations, I'm Krishna. And we see that, right? Om Tat Saditi iti Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. So that's what is the sequence we have seen. Om Tat Sat is always used in all the things. Okay, so we have covered today these sections: modes determine one's faith, food in the modes, sacrifice in the modes, austerity in the modes, charity in the modes, and the conclusion is with Om Tat Sat. Okay, so thank you very much, devotees, and I have to thank Ganesham Prabhu, Ganesham Govind Prabhu, His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu, from where I have learned and like I have repeated their words in this, mostly in this session. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Harikishore, for a wonderful presentation. We'll go to